I woke up one morning and decided to quit my job. Well, in reality, that is not what happened. I feel like many people think that one day they have this sudden realization that it's time to quit their job. But actually, it's more like having a pebble in your shoe. You can still walk with it, but it is uncomfortable. I kept walking with the discomfort for a while until I finally made the decision to quit. And it took a month for me to finally take the action. Today, I want to talk about things that convinced me that it's time for me to move on. If you feel like there is no more skills to learn from your current job, it might be time for you to move on. No matter where you are in your career, I do think there are always things that you can learn at work. But you shouldn't have to desperately look for something that fulfills your desire to learn. I think it makes so much more sense for you to be in the environment where there are limitless opportunities for you to learn in daily basis and where there are motivated people with knowledge who are willing to share their knowledge with you. If you're doing everything to relieve your stress, but if the stress is not going away at all, it might be time for you to move on. Back in the corporate world, I tried everything. I did yoga, meditation, journaling, and I even moved out of Tokyo so that I can be closer to the nature. But no matter what I tried, I could just never reach the best version of myself. It almost felt like something was holding me back from becoming who I really want to be. I'm still happy about the fact that I was able to develop those healthy habits, and some of them are more like antidotes for when I'm feeling stressed. If you're struggling with stress at work right now, do try to develop those healthy habits. But if you continue for a couple of months and if you don't see any improvements, it might be time for you to move on. Does this job bring out your best self? Growing up, I was always labeled as this happy, outgoing, wild kid who is always smiling, which I would say was like 80% true, but of course, I had some days where I wasn't feeling it. Working a job that didn't fulfill me completely changed who I am. It was like unlocking a Hulk in me. I would get triggered by those small things that didn't bother me before. And I just became this angry person who had so much rage within me. I thought I was the problem, so I went to therapy and I tried to work on my emotions. But now that I think about it, it's very clear that the job wasn't bringing out the best version of me. If something, I was becoming someone that I really didn't want to be. As you know, I quit my job that summer and my emotions are so much more stable now. Don't get me wrong, I'm still human. I get mad sometimes, I get sad sometimes. But I never really feel those intense anger or rage anymore. And I can tell that this lifestyle is so much better for my mental health. If you continue to stay at your current job, what would the career path look like? If you can't picture yourself walking the career path that the company offers, or if there is no more career progression for you at all at your current job, it might be time for you to move on. For me, one option was to move to a management. While I did enjoy supporting my team members and helping them, I just couldn't imagine myself dealing with the politics that I think most of the management roles come with. So that option was not for me. And another option was for me to move to a completely different role within the company if I passed the internal interview. That is, of course. I did consider this option, but I felt like one, I had enough with the industry, and two, I feel like the longer I stay in one industry, the harder it will be for me to get into the new industry and get out of my comfort zone. So I concluded that in terms of career path and career progression, it's probably the best for me to move on. You never really have day offs. This really depends on what kinds of job you have, but my job never really allowed me to have complete day offs where you don't need to worry about any emails or calls. I remember I was flying to Europe to spend Christmas with my boyfriend's family, and I needed to buy this shitty Wi-Fi on the plane in order for me to respond to this urgent email. And the Wi-Fi was so unstable, and it took so long for me to send one email. That was definitely an unnecessary stress, and that was horrible. Another example is when I was in Okinawa. By the way, if you're visiting Japan, make sure to visit Okinawa. They have the most beautiful ocean, and every time I go there, I don't want to leave. Anyway, I was in Okinawa for summer vacation, and it was lunchtime and we were hungry. So my boyfriend was driving our rental car to go to a restaurant. And on the way there, we were driving this beautiful bridge that has amazing view of ocean, and it's one of the popular tourist attraction. As we crossed this beautiful bridge, I was stressing out next to him trying to respond to this urgent email. And I'm not blaming this to my company or anything. My company definitely had more flexibility and they had way more day offs than usual Japanese companies, but it was almost impossible for me to have complete day offs where I don't need to worry about emails or calls. After quitting my corporate job, I went to Europe for a month, and it was my first time in years where I didn't need to worry about anything related to work, and it was eye-opening. I was able to come up with so many creative ideas for my future, and when I came home, I felt so motivated and I felt so ready to start this new journey. If you start to have the symptoms that you didn't have before, it might be a sign for you to move on. When I had a corporate job that didn't fulfill me, my menstrual cramps became so bad that I needed to be on medication. My skin got so irritated to the point where applying lotion that was prescribed by my dermatologist was causing so much pain on my skin. And my hair started to fall off. I constantly had stomach problems, but the scariest one was migraine. I always had migraine, but it just became so much worse, so I was constantly taking painkiller. And I remember one time I was in so much pain and so much stress that I forgot how much pills I took. I started to feel so dizzy, and that's when I realized that I accidentally overdosed. Luckily, I was able to recover myself and I didn't need to go to hospital, but that was definitely so scary, and it's crazy what stress can do to you. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand. I don't think quitting a job should be something casual. You should really take time to think about your future, think about your career, and you want to make sure that you have the right reasons to take the big step. When I was still debating if I should quit or not, one reason that really convinced me is that I achieved all the goals that I wanted to achieve within the company. And I started to feel like it's almost rude for me to keep staying in the company while having no goals or ambition, because I just couldn't provide the quality of work and the values to the company anymore. And I realized that it's beneficial for both company and me if I decide to move on, because they're gonna be able to use my headcount to find someone new who has goals and ambition and is ready to bring the values to the company. You can no longer find joy in the process or in the end results. In the beginning of my career, I found the end results of my work so rewarding. I was so happy when I was recognized for my performance, and of course the bonus and the incentives that come with the high performance was very rewarding. As some of you know, I grew up competing in figure skating, and when my performance was recognized at work, it almost felt similar to when I finished my routine at competition and all the audience starts clapping and you feel the adrenaline rush, and it is so addictive, and the feeling was very similar. But as I got used to the job, eventually the job got easier and the excitement started to wear off. So what I did is to switch my focus to the process of my job, and I really tried to find my purpose in day-to-day tasks. And I was able to kind of trick my brain to convince me that this is fulfilling, but I never really felt like I was born to do this or this is something that I'm supposed to do. Now, I understand that not everyone in the world can find a job that allows them to feel like they are born to do this. but I definitely felt like I can find something better that fits my personality and my interests. Can you imagine your future or your current job? Back in the corporate world, I met a lot of amazing people. Some of them were moms and they had kids to take care of at home. But I saw they were still spending so many hours away from home, away from kids. Plus, many of them had higher titles, which comes with more responsibilities and pressure. And for me personally, I just couldn't picture myself having the lifestyle that they have. You might think like, well, then don't get promoted and stay where you are. But it would be very difficult for me to stay motivated while knowing that I'm not gonna have any career progression, and it's something that I don't want to do if I don't need to. If you're debating whether you should quit your job or not, I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comment below, and I'm gonna see you in the next video.